Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Ringo TV Reactions. Boxing legend George Foreman dies, and the world is in shock. 76. Isn't that amazing? I actually still have one of his grills. You know, those grills they used to play on the commercials. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if they still have those things, but I had bought one of them things years ago. And it actually works, believe it or not. Because, you know, a lot of times when they put names of boxes and different people on products, you figure it's just a gimmick, but it actually works. You know, use it to make burgers and whatnot. But he died, and this man was extraordinary in the ring. When I was a kid growing up, I used to watch some of his fights. It's around the time when, you know, a lot of people probably didn't even own a color TV, you know? And you used to have to put that antenna hanger, that antenna that you would just create on your TV to kind of get it to look right. But it's crazy, man. Like, this is a crazy week, bro. Like, I don't know. Like, a lot of stuff is going on at one time for a lot of people to digest, man. So let me talk about the story, man. George Foreman dead at 76, legendary boxer. Big George, a two-time heavyweight champion, participated in some of the most important boxing events of all time. Foreman burst onto the scene in 1968 at the Summer Olympics in Mexico City, where he won a gold medal. Shortly after the games, George turned pro. In 1973, George Foreman defeated the undefeated heavyweight champion, Joe Frazier, securing his first title just years into his professional career. Let me get a clip of that, put it on the screen for you. Let me see. As you come into the stream, be sure to click the like button. It goes on and it says, after defending the belt twice, George, 25 years old and undefeated, faced Muhammad Ali in 1974 in one of the most memorable boxing matches ever coined, the Rumble in the Jungle in Zaire. Ali shocked Foreman, winning by 8th round TKO. Years later, the men would become very close. When Ali died in 2016, George told us, "I lost my best friend." In 1977, Foreman retired and became an ordained minister. After hanging up his gloves, George dedicated his life to God and preached at a Houston area church. You see that? Now, keep in mind, when he retired in 1977, right, and became an ordained minister, that was the year I was born. I was born in 77. And I can recall coming up as a kid, you would see his fights, you would see Ali, and those were the days when you would be glued on the screen watching a boxing fight. I mean, it was so serious back then. Nobody missed a fight. Even kids was watching the fights because these guys were the heroes. And of course, you know, over the years, that's when, you know, Tyson ended up coming in and doing his thing. But This guy was involved in a lot of different things besides just boxing. Always respectful. Good spokesman when you talk. It was just something different to see. 1 minute you're in the ring beating somebody up, and then next minute you can, speak on various forms of the sport. And he did all of that. And like I said, he's a good promoter too. Because like I said, I still own one of his grills. Them grills, when I first seen the first commercial, I was like, Ma, we got to get one of those, man, so we could get them burgers going, man, for real. So it don't have no grease, you know what I'm saying? Them grills will make the burgers, be well. All the grease will just flow down the side, And I thought it was a scam at first, but it actually is a good grill. It actually did the job. And he became a minister and started to talk about the good Lord and changed up his life, did a lot of different things. And it's amazing. And now we see today, you know what I'm saying, he done passed on. So that just shows you how short life is, man. Like how today you here, tomorrow you're not there. And it's like, you really got to get your life right, man. Now, at 76, I would consider that young, to be honest. I figure he probably would have been older, but 76, I mean, he lived his life. He did a lot. It is what it is. But I thought he would have been an older man. Let me put this on the screen real quick. As you can see, Foreman versus Frazier. And you have to think about these. This particular legend is responsible for all of the boxers that are even here today, because everybody watched all of these guys to learn. Everybody had to study them in order to understand how to move. Everybody know about Ali, but Foreman, he took on everybody. Everybody had a chance to step in that ring with him. But now, he had to move on. I'm just glad to know that the man got with the Most High. I'm glad that he had a God conscience and he wasn't just, just a boxer and didn't have no connection to God, So for him to have that connection and have a heart after the Most High, that's a good thing. And he gave some advice on his platform on IG. They have like some videos. I think they just uploaded those. And it talks about how people were trying to, I guess, tell him he's not going to be the champ. He's not going to do this. And, a lot of us, we get that too. People try to discourage us, tell us that we ain't nothing. And he had to deal with those things too. But listen to what he had to say.
Philippians, the 4th chapter, the 12th and the 13th verse. Boy, that day I remember telling my friends, I was in the old Job Corps days, sitting in a dormitory where I lived. And I spoke to the guys. I said, one day I'm going to be champion of the world. And they got upset with me. They said, look, it's all right for Doc Brodus to say that, George, and talking all that crazy talk, but don't you go around saying that you're going to be champion and you're going to be that. You better stop that. They were sincerely trying to tell me not to say that. And then years would pass. After I'd had a great boxing career, things had gone real well for me. I won some and lost some. And then I said to my friends, I want to be a preacher now. I'm going to give up boxing and become a full-time preacher. You can't do that. You're a boxer. No, you just can't turn your back on something that you're doing well like that. You can't give it up and be a preacher. What kind of preacher are you going to be when you're a boxer? It seems everything I wanted to do, it would always be met with a little objection. You can't do it, George. You shouldn't do it. Now, I got ready to go into sales, and I really want to be a good salesperson. I'd learned to sell by preaching on the street corners, telling everybody about God and telling everybody about Jesus Christ. And I was selling a product that I truly believed in. Then I went into the Madison Avenue stage of my life where I was selling. Everybody said, you can't do it this way. You can't even put your picture on a box. All time, people telling me what I couldn't do and what I could not do and can do. So you see, in life, we all have to decide what you want to do. We can all give it everything we want. Give it all and give it a try. Even you have to try 3 or 4 things at a time. Give it a try. Never allow anyone to tell us what we can't do. That's why that verse I gave you is very important. Read it. Anything we want to do is possible. Now, this is George Foreman at the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ. It's possible.
Those are powerful words, man. Because when you think about today, where we at right now, a lot of us been getting that kind of hate where you have the naysayers telling you what you can't do, always trying to put doubt in your mind, always telling you you're not good enough. You know, all the greats had to experience that. Michael Jordan including, he had to experience that. You know, he shared stories about these things where they would tell him, well, you're not like Magic, you're not like Bird, you know, you're not like these guys. These guys are great. You know, you're good, but you're not good enough. You know, and what that did, it made him work harder. It made him go and practice and get right. And sometimes we got to do the same thing when everybody else is trying to put doubt in our heart that we can't be successful. We got to show them. But first of all, we got to show ourselves. Because if we can't prove that to ourselves, ain't nobody going to believe in us. You know, a lot of you are doing things right now and there's people trying to talk you out of it. Well, you got to take the words of what Foreman put out there. You know, you got to take those words. See, this man wasn't just a legendary boxer, but he was a minister. He gave back. He gave part of his life back to God. You know, a lot of men, they get successful, they make a lot of money, and they forget the Lord. You know? And it's amazing how he can have success and then say to himself, you know what, I got to get right with the Most High. Let me give back something to the community, you know. And just those little words is enough to change your life if you actually apply it, because he made it very simple to understand. People told him what he can't do, but he did everything that they doubted him on, you know. So his legacy will continue to live on. He will always be remembered. See, Foreman's name is legendary. When you talk boxing, his name have to come up in every conversation. That's deep, right? See, when you think of your name, it speaks of greatness. Your name is who you are. What will people remember you by? You know? I mean, he had many children. A lot of his kids look just like him. I remember when I was doing some research on him, and this is a couple of years back, I was like, dag, this guy got a lot of kids, man, at the end of the day, you know? I'm like, he have a lot of sons, you know what I mean? He have a whole team. So I would like to give my condolences to his family, his kids, you know. Your father was great, respected, recognized in the community, and most importantly, you know, he was a father. And that was something a lot of people didn't see back in the days coming up, is a black man that actually had his kids and was successful and did his thing. Then he got right with the Most High and gave back to the community. Something you don't see. A lot of times boxers be arrogant, self-centered, and they don't care about nobody else but themselves. But you know, some men, they recognize that without God, they can't really do anything. And he even prayed, you know, he even prayed while boxing. You don't see a lot of people do that. Not only was he a champ, he was a man that recognized that God is real. And I think that that's something that's very important when you pass on, man. Because we hear about people passing on all the time, and, you know, it'd be sad and whatnot. At the same time, it's like you can celebrate. You can celebrate their passing in peace because you know he was right with the Most High. You get what I'm saying? We hear a lot about people passing away, and sometimes we like wondering, are they in the right place? But see, with this guy here, man, he was a likable guy. A likable guy. He made you laugh. I've seen many sports commentary and different things, and he would make you laugh. He would crack jokes. He know when to be serious. And it was just a good experience. You know, he impacted a lot of people, whether you believe it or not. Certain speeches, certain interviews, and you would listen because you knew he was serious about what he said, and you would pay attention. A lot of you men, you paid attention. And he taught you a few things here and there, and you may not even understand it, but if you really go back and you listen or you reminisce on some of the things you probably witnessed he said or done, it did something to you. Either it made you a better man or it made you make better choices, you know? So condolences to his family and RIP to him. See, he can rest in peace. Because when you with the Most High, that right there, it's like, man, to die and you were God conscious, like you were awakened. You knew you had a faith in Jesus Christ. Very important. Very, very important, man. And that's something that the boxing community is probably mourning right now, is that, you know, a legend, a real legend has passed on. So if there's anything that y'all can learn from this, whatever your nationality is, white, black, doesn't matter, fam. It's like, you know, sometimes we be so busy with our life that we don't really care about nothing else. Just make sure you're right with God, man. You know, I'm not even here trying to preach. You know, just get right with God, man. Like, you don't have to be Mr. Perfect, man. Just get right, man. Just know and have that faith and try to live your life, man, the right way, man. Just do right. Just do right. You know, in due time, everything will be, it'll work itself out, man. Just be the kind of man or woman that when you do your daily affairs, you do it with integrity, you know? Because you never know when you're going to go. You don't know, man. You don't know when you're going to check out, man. You know, let me continue reading some more of that article. It said, after a 10-year hiatus from the sports, George announced his comeback in at nearly 40 years old in 1988. Despite no longer having the crushing power punches he had in his early days, Foreman once again became heavyweight champion in 1994 at the age of 45, defeating 26-year-old Michael Moreau. With the win, GF made history, becoming the oldest heavyweight champion in history of the sport. The comeback is still considered one of the most impressive feats in sports history. Because you have to think about it, at 45, to come back in and win. That's crazy. It says in 1997, with a record of 76-5, 68 KOs, Foreman retired for good. It goes on and says, as one of the greatest to ever grace a ring. As spectacular a fighter as he was, his family also highlighted his personal accomplishments outside of the ring. A devoted preacher, a devoted husband, a loving father, and a proud grand and great-grandfather. He lived a life marked by unwavering faith, humility, and purpose. A humanitarian, an Olympian, and two-time heavyweight champion of the world. He was deeply respected, a force for good, a man of discipline, conviction, and a protector of his legacy, fighting tirelessly to preserve his good name for his family. His family continued, "We are grateful for the outpouring of love and prayers and kindly ask for privacy as we honor the extraordinary life of a man we were blessed to call our own." On top of being one of the most popular guys ever, Big George was also the face of the iconic George Foreman lean, mean, fat-reducing grill machine. I told you about that grill, fam. I told you about that grill. One of the most commercially successful products in decades. It was. Like I said, when I first heard about that George Foreman grill and I saw him promoting it, I was like, man, this is a damn scam. But we was in the store and we saw it there. I was like, hey, that's George on the thing. You know? I'm not sure if I was with my primo, man, my cousin Jorge, and, you know, his name is also George in Spanish, you know. I was like, yo, let's get the grill, man. I was like, Mama, can I get a grill? She's like, go ahead, get it. So we picked that up and, you know, it actually works. Like, I'm telling you, it really do work. It goes on, it says, Foreman was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2003. Rest in peace, Big George. Right? You know how many hamburgers I fixed on that grill? You know how many burgers, man, I fixed on that grill, man? I put that grill to work, bro. Like, for real, man. I remember, listen, I ain't going cap. I was doing some negative promotion for the grill. I was telling all my friends, I was like, man, don't buy that grill, man. It's a scam. And then I saw the grill in the store, man. I was like, you know, because we was getting stuff to make burgers. And I was like, hey, rather than us, making these damn burgers in the frying pan, because you know how it was back in the days. Your mama would make them burgers in the frying pan, burn them things up and all sorts of mess. But we saw it, man. I was like, yo, let's get it. Let's get it and see what it is. And I was a critique of the grill, and I was giving negative publicity to it, man. And once we got it and we saw that it worked, I was like, oh, snap. So it's not a scam after all. I went back. I told all my friends, I was like, yo, I got the grill. They was like, you a hypocrite. I was like, I got it. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, bro. But yeah, man, those are just some of the things you kind of remember, man. But I remember this man beating people up, man, punching people with them heavy hands, bro. But hey, it is what it is, man. So, I might end up watching some Foreman highlights, because I'm pretty sure them things is all over the place right now. It's crazy. But yeah, man, it's just crazy, man, how 1 minute you here, next minute you're not here. In case you didn't see it earlier, guys, we played a tape of some advice that George put out there. I'm going to play it again and kind of break it down a little bit so that you can get what he's saying, because the things he said in this short little clip, it could change your life if you really pay attention. We're talking about a man that experienced life. He was an all-around good guy. All around. In the ring, he was respectful, even though he would beat you up at the end of the day. But at the same time, he was a father. He did things for the community. And that's very, very important, man. But listen to his advice again.
Philippians, the 4th chapter, the 12th and the 13th verse. Boy, that day I remember telling my friends, I was in the old Job Corps days, sitting in a dormitory where I lived. And I spoke to the guys. I said, one day I'm going to be champion of the world. And they got upset with me. They said, look, it's all right for Doc Brodus to say that, George, and talking all that crazy talk, but don't you go around saying that you're going to be champion and you're going to be that. You better stop that. They were sincerely trying to tell me not to say that.
And the reason why they didn't want him to say that is because death and life is in the power of the tongue. And they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. When you speak life into your life, that is how you're going to make it. When people see you speaking positive things over yourself or saying what you're going to do, that bothers them, because you're adding faith, you're adding strength, you're putting things out in the universe that you believe you can receive, and when they see that, the demons that are in the people are going to try to stop you from reaching your goals. This is why you have to have words of affirmation. You have to speak positive words over your life all the time. These are things we neglect to do, because nobody's going to really speak these words. It's only but a few people in your life that appreciate you. Majority of people that see you every day is speaking negative words over you. You just don't hear it, but they're speaking negative words. That's why when problems arise in your life, a lot of it is coming from negative people that are throwing things into the universe to try to hold you back. That's why you have to be connected to the Most High. That's why you got to pray. That's why you got to speak good words. So they were trying to stifle his goals and his dreams by telling him not to say this and don't say that. You're not good enough. Not you. You're not good enough.
And then years would pass after I'd had a great boxing career. Things had gone real well for me. I won some and lost some. And then I said to my friends, I want to be a preacher now. I'm going to give up boxing and become a full-time preacher. You can't do that. You're a boxer.
Wow.
No, you just can't turn your back on something that you're doing well like that. You can't give it up and be a preacher. What kind of preacher are you going to be when you're a boxer?
Now think about this, guys. First, they doubted him for what he wanted to do with his life. Then when he became successful at it and he says, you know what, I'm going to give that up and I'm going to be a preacher. Now they're trying to tell him you can't do that either. First, they doubted him for being a boxer. They doubted him for being a champ. Then when he proved them wrong, now, okay, you want to be a pastor, a preacher? Nah, you can't do that. What kind of preacher you are? You going to give up boxing? Are you crazy? The greatest thing that Mr. Foreman did is become a preacher. I believe that him becoming a preacher was really for himself. I really believe that. See, what a lot of us don't understand, and I'm talking about a real preacher. I'm not talking about these pulpit pimps. I'm not talking about these hustlers in the church. I'm talking about when a man decide I'm going to be a preacher and I'm going to give my life to God. I really believe that he's really doing it for himself, not in a selfish way. That's not what I'm saying. At the same time, he's doing it for himself because he recognized that he got to give something back. He just don't want to be this guy that was recognized as being great, a legend, you know, popular in the world, but he recognized his spiritual life needs correction. And I feel that him becoming a preacher and transitioning into that role is him not only restoring his soul and getting right with the Most High, at the same time to do what he feel or felt that he was supposed to do, even from his early days. Because a lot of times we were given the call to preach the gospel from a young age, and we pursued a sport, start a business or did something else, and it took us away from our original call. You get it? So he knew he had to give back to God. And I'm glad he did that. I'm glad he did that. He's multifaceted. You know, he juggled many hats and did many different things. And that's something that I'm happy about. Because even though it might be sad that he passed away, I mean, we all got to go someday, right? At the same time, I'm just glad that the man did the right thing, made the right choice, because many boxers, they just don't do that, you know? So this is very, very important that he did that.
It seemed everything I wanted to do, it would always be met with a little objection. You can't do it, George. You shouldn't do it. Now, I got ready to go into sales, and I really want to be a good salesperson. I'd learned to sell by preaching on the street corners, telling everybody about God and telling everybody about Jesus Christ. And I was selling a product that I truly believed in.
You see that? He was very good at sales. Like I said, his advertisements was very, very good, very marketable. And then he decided to basically sell Jesus, but not for $1, like these pulpit pimping preachers. He would sell it for free, and he would tell people about him. And that's a good thing. He would promote for the Most High. So he did his job, man. He did his job in this life, man. If anything, man, Foreman did his job in this life, and he fulfilled his purpose. And that's something that we all can learn from. We got to fulfill our purpose. Whatever it is we're doing right now, we got to sometimes stop and reflect and be like, okay, did I fulfill the purpose for my life? You know, am I on the right track, or am I sidetracked by something that I just want to do because you're being distracted? Again, everything you do have good character in it. You know what I mean? Be a stand-up guy, a stand-up woman, but primarily to you men, you know, because I know all of you guys, man, you grew up and you watched George Foreman all the time. I know you did. If you haven't, you must have been living under a rock. But these guys, their life is supposed to have impacted you in some sort of way, especially as a young man coming up in the game, you know? And again, he's respected in the community. Respected, but people were trying to sidetrack him and derail his goals. Every one of us is going to have that. I'm just glad that he made the right choices, did the right thing, He had some wins, some losses. It is what it is. But that builds character when you're out here in this world. You're going to have good times and bad times. Not every day is going to be a good day. But you just got to be thankful and do unto others as you would want them do unto you. Try to live your best life for the Most High. Don't get so caught up in trying to prove yourself to people because they're not going to always be there. That's just the way it is. Shout out to Razor Rays for the support. Appreciate you sponsoring the show. Make sure you support and subscribe to Razor Rays. You know what I'm saying? He have the best channel for all things travel, all things talking about overseas, brothers going overseas, news reports and all that type of stuff regarding that. Make sure you check him out when you got time. You know what I mean? So, hey, you got to learn, man. Life is short. At the same time, we got to really... And the whole term life is short is not a negative thing. When I say life is short, I need for you to understand me. When I say life is short, I'm not talking about you got to hurry up and live because you're going to die soon. What I'm saying is how fast time fly. Like today, most of you are probably in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. And it was just yesterday you were a teenager. And it's like you look at yourself now and you're like, damn, I'm grown, fam. Like, damn, I got kids. What the heck happened over the years? Life. That's how fast life is, man. Life is short. So we got to make the most of it and not get so caught up in materials. Again, we got to pay bills. We got to use materials in this physical, natural world. At the same time, is it really that important? What is the needful thing? What is the most important thing we could do? To me, that's get right with the Most High in your own personal way. Whatever it is that you do to connect with God, man, you just got to do what you got to do. Because here's the thing, fam. You want to know a secret? God already knows you. God already know you, fam. Yeah, listen, God already know you. See, I'm trying to simplify this thing because a lot of these wolves in sheep's clothing, these charlatans that are out here trying to preach, a lot of them make things difficult, and they make it difficult for you to come to the Most High. He already know who you are. You just got to acknowledge him. Tell him that you need help. Tell him that you want to get your life right. Let him know that. It's supposed to be between you and him. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me, man. The way you choose to deal with the Most High, that's on you. You just have to have faith. See, today we got Bibles. Back in the day, we had none. See, back in the day, the men of old, they had no Bible. So they weren't walking around quoting scriptures at each other all day. You know what I mean? If you were not in the temple where they read the scrolls, you didn't know what was in nothing. You know what I mean? So the commandments was in a man's heart. You see? And he had to live. He had to communicate with the Most High by himself. So if they did that without a Bible, and you're here today, I'm not saying don't read the Bible. What I'm saying is wherever you are in your life, you might be going through something. You might be down and out. You might be having physical health issues, financial issues, and you're uncertain with where you're going. Maybe you don't got family there for you right now. Maybe you don't got no friends. You don't got nobody to talk to. You're alone and you feel defeated. You have to look within and disconnect yourself from the world and get right with the Most High and be like, look, it's now or never, man. Like, I'm just going to focus on getting my life right with you and have my faith and trust in you, because I don't know what this life is going to bring, But if there's anything that I'm going to do right, is get right with you. Forget what's going on in the world. Forget everybody. Forget all the accolades and trying to impress people. Because at the end of the day, if I passed away and I'm not right with you, then everything I've done in this life was in vain. So you got to secure that place, man. You got to secure your life with the Most High to the best of your abilities, man. I'm not here to quote no scriptures right now. I'm just talking to you. Just talking to you. That's it. I'm not telling you to go find 1,000 scriptures. What I'm saying is you just need to get right with the Most High where you are. You know what I mean? There is no special prayer. It's just as simple as you calling out to the Most High and just saying you want to get yourself right. Asking him for the wisdom on how to live. Wisdom to make the right decisions. Ask him to make you a good person. To change your ways. Look at your life and see where you're going off. Look at the things you're doing that you don't feel comfortable with and ask him to help you overcome those issues. Put the right people in your path. Ask him to take away all the wrong people that are causing you to fall back into your vomit. You got to take the initiative to acknowledge him in all your ways, and he's going to direct your steps. I believe that's what George Foreman did. That's what brought him to the Most High. He had success. He made money. He did all these different things, but there was an empty space. There was a void in him. Even though he had all the success, the legend, everybody respects him, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What does it profit? You know? And he recognized that. And he did what he had to do to the best of his abilities. And I believe that that man has a place in the kingdom. I truly believe that. That's no cap. There's a lot of people that passed away and I was in doubt. But with this guy here, this guy got his life right, man. He may not have been perfect. At the same time, he got his life right. That's all the Most High want, man. For us to get right. To acknowledge him. Acknowledge he exists. Sometimes we turn everything into religion and we think everything is a joke. But when you on your deathbed, man, that's not a joking matter. When you sick in the hospital and they got tubes coming in and out of your body and you are all messed up and can't move, that's not a good feeling, man. No amount of money in the world is important at that moment. You just want to go home. You don't want to be there no more. You see? So take the advice that he gives, guys, and get right. Don't let nobody put doubt in your heart. Don't let nobody tell you can't do nothing. You could do anything you put your mind to, fam. Every last one of you, you got something that you got to do in this life. Don't let nobody try to tell you you're not educated enough. You're not smart enough. You're not wise enough. None of us can judge you and tell you what you can't do because it's the Most High who allowed you to be in this world today. You were here. You were put here for a purpose. Doesn't matter how you were brought up. Doesn't matter if you came through the worst of worst conditions. There's a lot of people that came from poverty, lived in the ghettos and slums, and they became very successful. And not everybody's going to be a millionaire. Not everybody's going to have all this money. It's not about all of that. It's about you fulfilling your purpose for your life and reaching your goals. You got a goal. Pick it back up. Pick back up what you put down years ago because somebody put doubt in you. Somebody made you doubt yourself. You know? Don't let nobody make you doubt yourself. You know? And don't compare yourself to nobody else. One of the biggest problems we got is comparing ourselves to other people. You think George would have been successful as a fighter by comparing himself to everybody? No, he had to recognize his own strengths. You know, yes, sports is competitive. Boxing is a competitive sport. I get that. But at the same time, you got to be your own man, your own woman. Do your own thing. You know? This man made people smile. He was entertaining. And like I said, he was a father. Not many men walked in them shoes, man. Maybe you had a father that did all of that. Maybe you had a father that was not only a father, but he was a working man. He provided for the family. He did what he had to do. He sacrificed. He worked many long hours. Some of you didn't even get to see your father because he was at work all day. But you knew he loved you. You knew he did what he had to do because he was trying to provide for you. You know? And that's something we got to learn, and we got to take from that. A lot of us are adults today. We got to stop acting like children in our decision making. We have to recognize that we got kids. We got to work. We got to do what we got to do. We got to be smart, make the right decisions so that we don't get ourselves in any trouble. Some of you have been to the penitentiary. Some of you brothers, it's time to get yourself right. You know, don't go back to hustling. Don't go back to doing no dirt. Get right with the Most High, man. Be a good example for your kids, man. They growing up now, and they're going to need you to be around. That's why we're here. We only have a few years to get it right, and then it's our turn to go. We don't want to go. At the same time, we got to go. That's why you got to do your job. Fulfill your purpose. George fulfilled his purpose, guys. He fulfilled his purpose, man. Let me see if I can put something on the screen real quick. Let me see. Where is this thing? Yeah, I want to put this up here because he have a large family, man. Large family. I want to read something also from his IG, right? Let me put this. And we're going to read something from the IG. I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. But I'll put it on the screen anyway. I think we did read this because most of this was published on the TMZ website. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, we did read a lot of this from the TMZ website. We did read a lot of this. Right. I mean, you can't probably see everything, but, you know. So you see him there with his family, doing his thing. You know, now think about it, man. Think about you're a man, you're famous all over the world. You're a father, you got all these kids, man. And I think that was one of the selling points of that grill. Is that, you know, he would talk about his kids. And that's another thing. He would always talk about his kids. He have a lot of kids, man. I ain't gonna hold you, man. Shoot, I have 4. Look how much he got, bro. Man. So you know he had to be in the ring. You know he had to be in that ring, fam. You know, it is what it is. He had to go fight, bro. And you got all them kids, man. But that's a good thing, man, you know, to see a black man, family man, doing his thing, holding his family down. It's like, it teaches you how to be a man. It teaches you that you could do it. If George could do it, I could do it. You know? Because he would go in the ring to fight, take punches, and then he had to be a father. He had to be there for the kids. Then he would be there for the community. Then he would preach to people. So he been fighting his whole life, man. This man been fighting all the way to the day he passed on, man. He gave up the gloves, took off his gloves and said, hey, Most High, I'm ready to go. Most High said, okay, let me get those gloves. Put them gloves down. And that's it, man. Now his mark is in the world. His name will never be forgotten. George Foreman. So we're going to get up on out of here, guys. Y'all take care, man. Again, I talk about this all the time. If your pops is still alive, if your mom's is still alive, fam, make sure you go call them up, visit, tell them you love them. You got to do that, fam. You got to do that. If you got an elderly mom, go hug your mom, fam. Go hug your dad, bro. Sis, go call your mom. Stop being in all these grudges and disagreements with your folks. You got to get that situated, man. For real, man. When I lost my mom to cancer, it was no joke, bro. She died in her early 60s. She had a lot of living to do, man. I love my mom, bro. She was always there for me. She was the only one that cared, bro. The only one, man. The only one that never doubted me. Never. Always encouraged me. Always gave me her last dollar, bro. You know? So if your mom, your pops is still around, visit, call them up. Just do the right thing, man. Because you still got them. A lot of us lost our parents. And we mourned and we cried. You know, I wish my mom could be here right now, fam. Like I said, fam, she would be here at the house with me right now, bro. Like I would get her out of New York and she would be over here right now. She would be here right now. Got a whole extra room right there. You know, it just have a few things in there, but she would have that room right there. Because that was my plan. That was my goal, bro. My whole goal was to get her out of New York to the house. And because I've been working on a lot of different things at that time, but she had got the cancer and it just took its toll, you know what I mean? And because we already knew she was going to pass on. We already knew that, but I wanted her to be in a good place. I mean, she was in a safe environment, you know what I mean? But my point is, I wanted to do what I said I was going to do. Because you know how it is. All of us, we tell our moms, yeah, we're going to buy our moms a house. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And she ended up passing before I can do that. So that kind of messed me up. And I'm going to still fulfill that promise. I told y'all before, I'm going to still fulfill that promise. Where I'm going to get her a house. And when I do this, it's going to have all her photos. It's going to be furnished the way she would normally have it. And even though no one would live there, it will be her house. And it'll be a place where I can go to just kind of reflect. Place where I could bring the kids and show them, be like, look, this is your grandmother here. You know what I mean? And for me, that brings peace. You know? So I know that George's family is mourning the loss of their father. I know what they're going through. I know the pain. I know what they feel. They're remembering all the memories now. They're remembering the times. They're watching the videos. They're looking at the clips. But the good thing about all of this is that he had a lot of kids. So although they're grown, they have a good support base. You know what I mean? That's a real good thing. Family is very important, man. And that's something that George was focused on, is family. So he got a lot of kids. They have a good support base to comfort one another in this difficult time. So that being said, again, condolences to the Foreman family and R.I.P. to George Foreman. Legendary boxer champion. Never be forgotten. So y'all take care, man. We're going to get up on out of here, man. Call your mom, call your dad, tell them you love them. Right? Rate, comment, and subscribe. Ringo TV Reactions. We out of here. Peace.
If you like our content, Consider supporting via Cash App at $Ringo TV Raw. Become a patron on patreon.com for exclusive video content not shown on YouTube. You could also support through PayPal at paypal.me/RingoTVRaw. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified of new content. Follow me on Instagram at Ringo TV Raw.
This is Ringo TV Reactions, the only channel on YouTube bringing you the truth 100% raw and uncut. I'm out.